King M'Baku of Wakanda.
Ben, Yancey Street, between Broome and Grand.
Every Marvel era ends with a promise that something bigger is coming, something darker, something that changes everything we thought we knew. And Avengers Doomsday feels like that promise finally being collected. As the Multiverse Saga moves closer to its conclusion, Marvel Studios has officially shifted gears. The marketing has begun, the pieces are falling into place, and the message is getting clearer with every new trailer. This isn't just another Avengers movie. This is the beginning of the endgame for the entire saga. The most recent Avengers Doomsday trailer, released ahead of Avatar: The Way of Water screenings, doesn't waste time easing us in. Instead, it quietly lays out what this story is really about. Worlds colliding, legacies returning, and a threat so severe that even the Avengers may not be enough. One of the most striking moments in the new footage is the arrival of Marvel's first family. When the Fantastic Four from Earth 828 step into Earth 616, the collision feels deliberate, almost ominous. Watching the Thing cross paths with M'Baku isn't just fan service. It's a signal. The MCU is no longer separating its corners. Everything is converging. The trailer also confirms a dramatic new look for Namor, building directly on his introduction in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. His presence feels heavier this time, less isolated, more connected to the larger conflict. And when characters like Namor start moving beyond their own domains, you know the stakes are rising. Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Reed Richards from Fantastic Four First Steps are all confirmed to be part of the ensemble, reinforcing the idea that Avengers Doomsday is less about one team and more about every legacy Marvel has built over the years. Since December 2025, Marvel Studios has been carefully releasing new glimpses, each one designed to widen the scope without revealing the full picture. But the emotional weight of this film doesn't come from new arrivals alone. It comes from returns. The first Avengers Doomsday trailer delivered one of the most shocking reveals in MCU history. Chris Evans is back as Steve Rogers. Not as a variant, not as a cameo, as Steve Rogers. The footage confirmed that Steve and Peggy Carter had a son, reframing the end of Avengers Endgame in a way that feels both intimate and massive. The former Captain America is officially part of the 2026 film, and that changes everything. The second trailer shifted focus to Thor. Chris Hemsworth's God of Thunder is no longer chasing glory or purpose. He's chasing family. Thor's plea to Odin for the power to reunite with his daughter Love adds an emotional undercurrent that runs directly against the looming darkness. Dr. Doom isn't named, but when Thor speaks of a new evil unlike anything they've faced before, the implication is impossible to ignore. And then came the third trailer. This was the moment Marvel stopped pretending this was just another Avengers story. X-Men characters stepped into the spotlight. Professor X, Magneto, Cyclops. Seeing Charles Xavier and Eric Lenscher together again carries decades of narrative weight. And watching Scott Summers unleash his optic blast in a comic-accurate suit feels like Marvel finally embracing the full scope of its legacy. But looming over all of this is the shadow no trailer has fully shown yet. Dr. Doom. Robert Downey Jr. has returned to the MCU is the kind of casting decision that doesn't just turn heads, it rewrites expectations. This isn't nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. This is Marvel weaponizing its own history. Tony Stark was the heart of the Infinity Saga. Now, Downey returns as its opposite, a symbol of control, intellect, and absolute power. Doom isn't being marketed loudly. He's being felt, referenced, feared. Every trailer circles him without naming him, and that restraint makes his presence even more intimidating. When Marvel chooses silence over spectacle, it usually means confidence. What makes Avengers Doomsday especially fascinating is how carefully it's being positioned in the timeline. Before Earth's mightiest heroes assemble again, the MCU will pass through one final solo chapter. Spider-Man Brand New Day will act as the calm before the storm, grounding the universe in personal stakes before the multiverse fractures completely. By the time Avengers Doomsday arrives in theaters on December 18, the board will be set. Heroes from different worlds, timelines, and legacies will stand on the same battlefield. Old promises will collide with new consequences, and the Multiverse Saga will demand its price. This doesn't feel like a celebration. It feels like a reckoning. Marvel isn't just asking what happens when heroes unite. It's asking what happens when everything they built starts to collapse under its own weight. And with Doctor Doom waiting in the shadows, the answer might not be heroic at all. I'll be breaking down every frame, every clue, and every hidden connection as this story unfolds. Because Avengers Doomsday isn't just another chapter. It's the moment Marvel decides what its future really looks like. Stay sharp, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.